Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a system that has kind of quietly revolutionized just about every high-quality product and service you use. We are talking about Six Sigma.
You ever just stop and think about that? You know, that one piece of tech you own that has never, ever let you down? Or a delivery service that's somehow always on time, every single time? Heck, just think about how ridiculously safe commercial air travel is.
Well, I can tell you, that level of quality and reliability, it is absolutely not an accident. It's the outcome of a very deliberate, data-obsessed, and tough-as-nails methodology that is designed to get as close to perfect as humanly possible.
All right, so let's get into this quest for perfection. To really get what Six Sigma is all about, you've got to go back to where it started and the massive problem it was built to solve.
And believe me, this whole thing didn't start with some calm moment of inspiration. Nope. It was born out of a full-blown corporate crisis.
So let's set the scene. It's the 1980s, and Motorola, well, they're in trouble. They were getting hammered by international competitors whose products were just plain better. They realized that if they were going to survive, they couldn't just make small improvements. They needed a total game changer. That's when an engineer, a guy named Bill Smith, started developing the statistical backbone for what would eventually become the Six Sigma program, which they officially launched in 1986.
And this right here, this is the light bulb moment. This is the big idea. See, the old way of doing things was all about inspection, finding the broken stuff at the end of the assembly line. Six Sigma flipped that completely on its head. The goal isn't to get really good at putting out fires, it's to design a system so well that fires almost never have a chance to start.
So how in the world do you build one of those fireproof processes? What does near perfect even mean, really? Well, that brings us to the math behind the name itself.
The name Six Sigma comes straight out of a statistics textbook. That little Greek letter, sigma, is what statisticians use to measure deviation. Basically, how much your process strays from the perfect result. So you can think of it like a report card for quality. A low sigma score, that means you've got a lot of variation, a lot of mistakes. But a high sigma score, well, that means your process is consistent, reliable, and getting really, really close to perfect.
And this chart, wow, this really shows you what that means. If your process is at a 2 sigma level, you're making over 300,000 mistakes for every million tries. Ouch. Even if you get the 4 sigma, which sounds great at 99.38% quality, you're still looking at over 6,000 defects. That's not going to cut it for a heart pacemaker, right? So what does it take to climb all the way to 6 sigma? And there it is, 3.4. That's the magic number. Achieving 6 sigma quality means your process makes only 3.4 mistakes for every million chances it gets. Let me put that into perspective for you. That's like writing a 10-volume encyclopedia set and having only one single typo in the entire thing. It's just an unbelievably high standard.
But look, hitting a number like that, it's not just a math problem you can solve on a whiteboard. It takes a complete change in culture. It demands a whole new way of thinking about quality.
This is the key difference right here, that shift from being reactive to being proactive. Traditional quality control, that's the inspector at the end of the line, catching the broken widgets before they ship. The Six Sigma way is about studying the entire line itself, finding every single possible reason a widget might break, and engineering those problems out of existence.
And this whole philosophy really rests on 3 core pillars. First, you have to be totally obsessed with the customer. What do they actually want? What do they consider a flaw? Second, every single decision has to be backed up by cold, hard data, not just feelings or hunches. And third, you have to be committed to constantly, proactively making things better, always hunting for the next improvement.
And this is the engine that makes the whole thing run. Instead of a manager saying, I think the problem might be this thing over here, a Six Sigma team uses a really structured process. You might hear terms like DMAIC, which stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. They let the numbers point them directly to the root of the problem. This is where you see specialists, people with titles like green belts and black belts, who are trained to lead these projects. It's all about taking the guesswork out of the equation.
So, okay, this all got started with making electronics at Motorola way back in the 80s. But the reason we're still talking about it, the reason it matters today, is because this way of thinking didn't just stay on the factory floor.
The real legacy of Six Sigma is this powerful mindset that is spread everywhere.
Think about the crazy detailed safety checklists in aviation or the patient safety protocols that hospitals use to reduce infections. The fraud detection systems your bank uses, the mind-boggling logistics that get a package to your door in a day. The principles behind all of them are rooted in this same Six Sigma philosophy of using data to hunt down and eliminate errors.
So yeah, the next time you use a product or a service and it just works flawlessly, now you know. Somewhere behind the scenes, there's probably a team of people completely obsessed with data, with processes, and with chasing that almost impossible goal, 3.4 defects per million.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. This whole journey started with a company just trying to build better TVs, but what they ended up creating was a powerful recipe for excellence. And it makes you wonder, right? If we can apply this kind of rigorous, data-driven thinking to building things, what about other really big, complex challenges? Things like healthcare or education. What could we fix if we tackled those problems with the same relentless quest for near perfection?